We sat in a room together and we talked about this moment. That when you get into this moment, you can't just want it. You've got to pay a price to earn it. You've got to pay a price to get on this stage. When you walk down the tunnel, think about everything you've done to prepare for this moment. They have not done what you have done. They are not ready to take this thing where you're willing to take it. Your togetherness is better, your effort is better, your culture is better, so put it on display for 3.5 hours and go get it.
21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen do it. Scream from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking, I just count the hours. Stop tripping, I'm tripping off the power.
Howdy, Aggs. Welcome into the Aggie Audible. I am your host, Lee Hillis, and it is game week. The Tigers of Auburn travel to Kyle Field to take on the Texas A&M Aggies. But first off, let's bring in our co-host, Kyle Lovingood. Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing good. Howdy. Conference play is here.
This is our conference opener.
Correct.
But we do have a special guest joining us. Former A&M wide receiver, number 39, Sam. How are you?
Thank God, guys. Thank y'all for having me on.
But as we were saying, game week's here. First SEC opponent. The Tigers had a little trouble last week.
They might have got that game stolen from them. I don't know.
I think they're looking honestly better than a lot of the years we played them.
Yeah, and the fact that Oklahoma had to run a wide receiver trick play off to the side that should have been illegal to win the game is they're probably better than we really are giving them credit for. A lot of people are probably overlooking them just because they lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know if everyone's giving as much credit. I mean, they do have a larger injury list, but
That's true.
From what I've seen out of them, I think they're still quite a formidable opponent, especially in an SEC opener. I think they were our SEC opener 2 years ago, also, I believe.
Yeah, under Jimbo.
Yeah, and I think that this is a team that really can't be underestimated. I mean, just kind of like looking at what they have coming in, from an offensive standpoint.
I mean, if we went by recruiting rankings and the amount of talent that they have, I mean, you shouldn't be underestimating them at all.
So. Oh yeah, for sure.
And this is in my opinion, one of the better teams that we are facing in conference play outside of like a Texas or an LSU.
I agree. Florida's kind of falling apart. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a tough game for Florida last week against Miami. I mean, I think they could have come ahead if they had really put it together, but they unfortunately couldn't really throw the ball. So it's not it was like the 1950s anymore. It's kind of tough.
It's kind of funny with the fact that G.J. Lagway and Marcel Reed were compared so heavily this offseason because they had very similar stats, and they kept saying G.J. Lagway is going to be better because they won toward the end of their season, and here we come into this season, and we're kind of seeing D.J. Lagway and coming down, and Marcel Reed definitely going up.
It was tough because I actually was rooting for Florida that game. I wanted, honest with you, I wanted to see them upset Miami because I didn't think there was a huge discrepancy, but I mean, clearly Miami put it together and Florida didn't, which is like, if we were looking into the nitty gritty of that game, that's kind of what it came down to. And then Miami pulled away at the end.
Right.
But as we were saying, game week is here. Tigers, Aggies at Kyle Field, 2:30 kickoff from Kyle Field. But looking at what A&M did 2 weeks ago, basically, against Notre Dame, Marcel Reed went 17 of 37, 360, 2 touchdowns in the interception. But Le'Veon Moss, 20 carries, 81 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's not something you see every day out of a running back. Have that low of an average, but he still has 3 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, they used him at the goal line. I mean, he was their punch. He just punched it in for him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when it comes down to that, I think it's more of a scheming question. Not question, but it comes down to scheme as to how that works. Because, as you were saying, on the goal line, you're close enough that it's not going to necessarily be a long, long run. But obviously, we know from past years, they're certainly capable of those longer explosive plays.
Right, and one of the things that's interesting is Auburn is now the top SEC defense right now, according to the statistics, only allowing 58 yards a game. So it'll be interesting to see if A&M can break the mold, or if that's just Auburn's played weaker competition. They haven't been able to run on them. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have to see what it comes down to because, as it is in terms of like, where things kind of separate, it will be somewhat of a diagnostic of how Oklahoma was, obviously. But from what I saw out of Auburn, I mean, they were pretty good on the I think defensive front. I also think in terms of offensive line, they seem like they're a pretty formidable team when it comes to that. I wouldn't say that he's got forever to throw, but he definitely has enough time. And I think that's something that is important to look at. When it comes down to this matchup where Texas A&M traditionally has a pretty significant offensive line, skill wise, and Auburn seems to also be trending in that direction as well. It's going to be, I think, it wouldn't be an intelligent move to underestimate Auburn in this game at all, because you can certainly see the places where things kind of line up. And so with that being said, I do think it's going to be a pretty decent game. And really over the past couple years, I don't truly ever remember Auburn being like an easy win. Like I think when we played them in 21, I think for most of the game, there wasn't like an offensive. Right, I think it was just mainly they traded field goals in 2021, and then I think it was like Jalen Weidemeyer or someone who kind of scored at the end somewhat, but it wasn't like anything crazy.
I mean, it's always been a cat fight, or a dog fight. But yes, it's been hard getting those wins against Auburn. I agree. The only time we really destroyed them was when Johnny Manziel was there, 2012. We just absolutely destroyed them. I can't remember what the score was, but since then, it has been just one of those nail biters every single year.
Yeah, they've been quite formidable, and I'm trying to remember if we even if we beat them at home. I'm sorry, at away, when they were at home.
When the series first started in the SEC, we were beating them. The away team kept winning.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of flipped to reverse. The home team is now winning.
As of late.
Kind of like with LSU.
Yep.
But to the receiving side of this, Mario Craver had himself a game against Notre Dame. 7 catches for 207 and a touchdown. Casey Concepcion, 4 for 82. Those are your two big targets for if you're A&M.
Right. I think it's really cool. Mario Craver and Concepcion have already combined for 670 yards for 7 touchdowns. I mean, we're only 3 games in, and that's just insane. How much explosive plays we've gotten out of them.
Yeah, that is impressive. I mean, obviously, I'm very interested to see how they, come up against this defense, because I just think it's, Notre Dame had a pretty good defense, right? I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. But this is kind of where all the separation comes. And from what I've seen out of them, I mean, the separation that they've been creating on the field has been pretty remarkable. And has been very impressive. And but behind that level of separation being created, I think you've always got to thank the guys in the trenches who kind of give that time to happen. And this is probably one of the best A&M offensive lines I've probably seen since I was a freshman in college. When I came in, it was tough at offensive line, and it seems like a very complete line at this point in time. Whereas I was looking at the game against Notre Dame, obviously, and Marcel Reed was, I'm an Eagles fan, so he was giving me flashes of like a younger Jalen Hurts, where he was getting more comfortable in the pocket, right, and breaking it if he needed to. But he was getting comfortable making those throws, and that was something that was definitely very refreshing to see, because I don't remember, it being as clean cut in at least the recent history.
I mean, last year he was having to make plays with people chasing him. And this year it definitely feels like he has more time to kind of allow the play to develop, and which allows these explosive wide receivers to just get that separation so he can make a throw. So he can read, get his third read before he was having to 1-2 run. And it could have been he was still developing, not understanding the first read, second read. But I mean, he's really come a long way after this offseason. So
it's great to see that, especially as someone who was practicing with him. I was there before him, so I saw him come in and stuff like that, and to see him develop, mature as as a player. It's a remarkable thing to see, and he deserves all the good things that he's getting. He's he's a great person. I think he's really suiting up to be a great leader, and I'm excited to see what we get out of him.
So the stats for Auburn, Jackson Arnold 21 of 32, 220 and a touchdown. But the number that stands out to me is that sack number. Sacked 10 times. And I was saying this after that game last weekend. Cassius Howell is chomping at the bit to get his hands on Jackson Arnold.
Oh, you know it.
I mean, I hope that's the case because he was. It seemed like in some regards, like as I mentioned earlier, like their offensive line was giving him time to pass. At the same time, those things obviously did happen. So, it's like if the D line comes, they're going to come, and I think it'll obviously should generate a lot of pressure, but they still got they got Cam Coleman and that receiving core to worry about, which I think is a very legitimate
threat.
Very legitimate threat, especially because at least from what I saw out of them, and I could be wrong, but they seem to run quite a few screenplays, and like that's something that you don't really need too much of a super strong offensive line for, because it's obviously tends to be a quickly developing play.
Right. Yeah, I mean they allowed. I guess I think they pulled it back to 9 sacks. I was looking at the statistics earlier. I don't know why they changed it from 10 to 9. But anyhow, one of the things I thought was interesting is you can't take the transitive property. It's going to be hard to say, okay, well, A&M's now going to be able to get 7 sacks because Oklahoma was able to get 10 last week. It just could have been the scheme that Oklahoma was doing, or Auburn wasn't quite ready for it, or Auburn's probably going to practice to be better against that kind of thing this week. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And I mean, I think in some regard with Arnold, it was a little bit of pocket awareness because, I mean, I remember seeing one of those plays and you just saw, Oklahoma lineman literally jump on the guy. I mean, like, and that's I think that's like something is obviously it's going to develop.
Well, I mean, Jackson Arnold was holding on to the ball too long. It's just really that simple, I think, and they're going to correct that for this week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely see because I mean, it's in that regard, it's like the cornerbacks. You're looking at them to keep him holding on so everybody else can get everything together.
Right.
Well, as we were talking about right here, Auburn, it was a very even game. 18 first downs. They were 3 for 15 on third. 64 yards rushing. That is that's shocking in my opinion. That you're poised to be a very good running team, but you're only limited to 64 yards.
I mean, there was less than 100 yards rushing in that game. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
99 yards. I'm curious, what was the split between passing plays and running plays?
I do not know that.
Although I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. Well, yeah, no, because if I'm not mistaken, screens are also counted in those rushing yards.
Okay.
I think they should. I mean, they should be because it's
behind the line of scrimmage. It's behind the line of scrimmage.
Right, exactly. So like you can block, or the same thing that you can do with a run play. So I would assume that that when it comes down to that, it's what it counts as.
But it was very even in the total yards, 303 to 287. But there's that sack number.
Right.
10 sacks for 44. to
Yeah,
Auburn getting
that's-
1 for 5.
Yeah, that's something that they're really gonna. I mean, I think that in some regard, obviously can determine it. But the thing is, with that game, like between Auburn and Oklahoma, when it came down to everything at the end, it wasn't a massive difference maker.
Yeah. And you take away the sack, or at least half those sacks, you're talking about a completely different ball game.
Right.
Right.
You're talking about possibly Auburn winning that ball game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we flip it to the opposite line. Trey Zoon gonna have his hands full with Keldrick Falk because he's projected to be a first-round pick and all this stuff, and he's had a couple of sacks this year. Definitely been making an impact in games. It didn't show up last week, but he's gonna have his hands full. Trey Zoon gonna have to keep him in check.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Oklahoma it's clearly a good team from what we've seen so far. Still kind of need a little bit more out to develop out to see how much that extends, but there's always going to have to make that correction.
So shall we go ahead and look at what the Aggies will be wearing against Auburn?
Do it.
Sam, have you seen the video?
Yeah, of course. That was I was like, I couldn't believe it.
It was pure comedy, in my opinion.
Social media team honestly needs a raise.
Dude, they've gotten so good this year. That's what I'm gonna say. They didn't have this in the past.
Yeah, they've really been upgrading. Like they've really been upgrading it. But that's a very necessary part when it comes down to these things. I mean, you can certainly see the difference between programs that value that and programs that don't. Like you can, I mean, very much.
And one thing that keeps being said when we're recruiting, it's more about the experience than it is about going to a game and seeing win and lose nowadays, I think. So that social media plays into that. So.
And that's a big reason of why they put the LEDs in the stadium.
Right.
Was to intrigue the recruiters or the recruits there. But here is the uniform reveal for A&M versus Auburn.
Aggies, tribal council has begun. Today we must make a decision. Today we must vote on what uniforms we will sport in Kyle Field as we take on the Auburn Tigers. We must cast our votes now. Tyler, you up.
I have made this decision based off of my kicking leg, and this will help us get to the 1 yard line.
I have to make the decision because the number 12 looks so damn good on this jersey.
I made this decision because I want to knock people's heads off with this helmet.
Aggies, I will tally the votes. The votes are in. The first vote, Tyler picked maroon pants. Second vote is in, and Nana picked maroon jersey. The third and final vote may be the most crucial vote of all. It is the helmet. And DJ picked maroon helmet. Aggies, the votes are in. The tribe has spoken. Step up. Take your torches and somebody like me up. Boom!
And the Aggies are going all maroon.
Yeah.
Against Auburn.
That's nostalgic for me because that was the uniform I played like my first snap in. So
was all maroon?
Yeah, we went all maroon for senior night. So I love it. I love it. I just love that they got Coach Troop in there because you definitely,
Coach Troop is he's incredible.
He is. I loved every interaction I got to have with him.
So, you were in there with Tyler in the locker room with Tyler, weren't you?
White?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of person is Tyler White?
What kind of by what metric? Like,
Just in general.
he's a great guy. I really enjoyed, the specialists are always fun because, like, something that I really enjoyed doing was like working on punt returns and like fielding
Yeah.
punts. So I used to spend a lot of time with the specialists, like during the summer and stuff, because I'd be like, if they were going to practice, I was gonna go catch, and like Tyler kicks a high ball, like he kicks it far. You know what I mean? But he's just a great guy. I think he's always positive. I think that's to what I can say. Like it was great to be around.
But as you were talking about, Sam, Auburn's injury list is long.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Well, they have a lot of probables, but yeah, interesting. Keep going.
So, of course, we're going to be without Bryce Anderson, which we all know what happened. Him getting knocked out during the Notre Dame game. Scooby Williams questionable, which I knew that both of those were big probabilities for us. Auburn, they're going to be without one of their big receivers in Horatio Fields, and then running back Darrell Robinson. Questionable, Amarius Williams and Connor Liu. Probable, Malcolm Simmons, Caleb Harris, Jeremiah Cobb, and Jay Crawford for Auburn.
I am interested to see how they adjust their game plan for this. I think that's probably going to be their biggest. If they're going to come in from a space where like they're putting themselves in to have an advantage, they're going to adjust their game plan accordingly. Which obviously, like that's just the nature of the game. That's what everybody does. But I am interested to see how they do adjust the style of play. I'm inclined to think they're probably still going to rely on screens quite a substantial amount.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
they got to get it to Cam Coleman if they want to have a shot in this game. They got to pass it to 8. They've got to keep throwing it to him. He's their superstar right now.
I mean, I think RPO will probably be something
their best friend.
Something that they utilize quite a bit in that situation because, I mean, I have to see they're too deep for the running backs, honestly, because I don't know, like, in terms of who's out and questionable, like how that plays into their depth. But I would think that if they want to open up the pass, like you need to have
you need to be able to run the ball.
Some threat at the run. And like, this is going back to when I was watching the Eagles this weekend, if you saw the first half versus the second half adjustment, right? Whereas like the first half, there was like just a ton of inside zone. For the last 3 games, the Eagles have been running a ton of inside zone. And the minute they, a lot of it like, wasn't always fruitful. But the minute they began to, start opening up the pass a lot, it just began to open up the run. So with that being said, like I would need to see like the depth chart, but I would be remiss to think that they are not putting in some form of RPO.
They are, and Jeremiah Cobb's their main running back. He's their workhorse. He has over 50 carries already this season, so they're feeding him the ball.
Right, right. So that I think that's going to be interesting to see as it plays out. And I mean, if they do that, I think they'll open up the pass quite effectively. Maybe not as effectively as they would if Horatio Fields was still out there. But I mean, their receiving core, it's not a one-trick pony. So
Yeah.
No. Yeah, they got Eric Singleton too, along with Kim Coleman. So they have weapons. They have speed.
But keys to victory presented by Fanatics. Kyle, you want to take this one away?
So we're gonna take this to where you need to come check out the website. You can put in the link below, right, Lee?
The podcaster.
Oh,
Or
keys to
Fanatics.
victory. Sorry, I didn't know we were already to this. The keys for the Aggies. I got you now. All right. So yes, I'm gonna say we need to protect Reed and attack the O line for the offense. So we need to do both. So our offensive line needs to be strong and protect against their two good edge rushers that they have, and then we need to be getting to the quarterback just like Oklahoma did last week. If Jackson Arnold holds on to the ball like he did last week, they're going to pay the price because A&M's going to get in the backfield. So that's why I picked that as number one. I say exploit the passing game. We have two weapons. Why not? If we can get the passing game going, that's going to open up the run game. It's going to open up the whole offense, and so that moves into number 3. Establish the run if possible. Let's say the passing game doesn't get kicked off as quick as we want it to. Even if they're getting the run game and they're drawing the defense into the box for Auburn, they're going to respect the run game because A&M has 4 fantastic running backs, in my opinion. So they're going to have to always respect that, and it will continue to open up the pass game, even if the offense struggles out of the box, out of the gate. And win the turnover battle. So a big punt return, a kick return. A&M has done well in that in the special teams this year, so that could help there. They have had a plus in the turnover battle, but I think if we can continue to do that, that's going to help. And if Auburn comes in and gets a turnover right out of the box, does what Notre Dame did, get a kick. Punt blocked in return, that kind of deflates the balloon, but that's the kind of thing that we need to make sure that since we're at home, we have the 12th man behind us, make sure it all flows in one direction. Was moved into number 5. We need to leverage home field advantage and momentum. We've won 3 games in a row. We just beat a good team on the road at Notre Dame. It's time to move in with the 12th man behind us, or behind the football team, and just take this game by storm. One stat, Auburn has not won any of their top 10 matchups in away games since 2014, and we don't want to let them beat A&M and be the first since 2014. So
that's the same stat we had before Notre Dame. I think to add on to that, I think playing a clean game in terms of penalties is going to be a very, very large deciding factor.
100%.
So we're going to start with Sam on this. What is your final score prediction for this game?
Man, y'all put me on the spot on this one. I got to think about this.
What kind of flavor of game you feeling? You feeling a low score? You feeling a high score? You feeling a defensive battle to the end?
I think it's going to be something like a 32-24 type of game. Like some weird type of score. I mean, I know. So like one of the deciding factors in the prior game, I think, was a safety that Oklahoma had.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be somewhere like that. It's like 33, 32, 30, 24, somewhere around there.
Kyle?
In terms,
Man, I've thought about this. I've even asked on Twitter what people thought. Try to come up with my own score. I think I'm going to go with Auburn's about half as good as Texas A&M as far as scoring. So I'm going to go with 42-28.
Okay.
I hope this does not come back to bite me like it did 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, low score. So tell me that's a backdoor cover on that 24 for Auburn.
28-24. That's definitely a respectable one.
Because you have to respect Cam Coleman, who hurt us last year at Auburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be an issue, and that's what we're gonna need. Will Lee and Des Ricks. Des Ricks had, dude. That's another thing. I was realizing how well Des Ricks has played this year. Last year he struggled to play these top end wide receivers, and this year he has just been
lights out.
He must have like really worked hard this offseason to improve his game and just to be like next level, because he's using that athletic, body that he has to actually defend the wide receivers and stay up with them. So it's been awesome to see. And that's why I said 28, because I don't think they'd be able to pace A&M. Because A&M starts scoring, I think against Notre Dame, Lee, you know how I said the pass game would open up the run game, and that's exactly what happened. And I think we're going to do the same thing again, because I just see Mario Craver, KC,
Terry Bussey.
I'm waiting for Terry Bussey to catch, another long one. He's got one, I think, but I want to see him like get more involved.
But as you were saying, so far the recipe for success for A&M is using that pass game to open up the run game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be quite. I think it's going to be quite something. I think it's going to be like a tit for tat type of battle,
like going back and forth.
Yeah. So something in between, something
like we score, they score, they score, we score.
Yeah, something like that. Like I would be pretty surprised if it ends up being like some large discrepancy in score,
like Notre Dame.
Where it was really close, yeah.
No, well, yeah. I mean, I'll be surprised it was like the opposite of that. Like if it's something that's like
like
basically
42,
what my score
21.
is. Yeah, 42-28. He's saying that's not gonna happen. It could be like 42-38 or something.
Well, I mean, I like it could happen theoretically. I just think that if it ends up being that large of a discrepancy in either team's favor, I think that I've done a very bad job assessing both teams.
But I told Kyle that I was going to make a huge announcement. And Kyle, you can probably guess what it is.
I'm actually kind of not sure, so enlighten me.
So let me go pull up. So September 3rd, I was given an offer that I could not pass up for a long distance coaching job in Mississippi. So with that being said, I accepted the offensive analyst position at a high school in Mississippi.
Congratulations, man.
That's cool.
Congratulations.
So I've been doing it for 3 weeks now.
How's it
Absolutely love it. Sadly, we just lost our first game after starting off 4-0.
What's the name of the team?
Oak Hill.
Okay.
But we started off 4-0. First 2 games, we shut out both our first 2 opponents, outscoring them 65-0. Before our
Wow.
first loss, we had only allowed 24 points in 4 games.
Wow.
And this past Friday night was only the second time in the first 5 games that we've scored under 30.
So they're running a Mike Leach offense with a good defense.
Well, like, let me just give you an example. Starting running back this past Friday night, 22 carries for 201
Oh wow, yeah.
and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, pretty good.
But, gentlemen, this has been fun. Of course, a huge thank you to Sam for taking time and coming on here and
Yeah, it was
talking
fun.
Aggies Tigers.
Yeah, for sure. I love doing it.
But, Aggies, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Thanks and giggle.
Got to get that first conference win. Woo!
That's right.